Hey, what's up guys, Rip here. So I think it's no secret at this point, Marvel needs a win desperately. It's been a very rough start to 2025, coming off of two financial disappointments with Captain America Brave New World, as well as their recent Daredevil series. Those were both financial disappointments, and they're trying to rebound with two big projects coming up in the coming months. First being Thunderbolts releasing soon, and then in July, they are releasing the much anticipated Fantastic Four First Steps. Now, of course, this is another stab at this franchise on the big screen, and there's a lot of changes coming that we'll be going over in just a moment. But Marvel is really hoping this will turn things around. You have actors from this set saying 2025 Fantastic Four actor says movie will go down in history by rejuvenating the MCU. That is a very bold claim because at this point, it's hard to imagine anything that can turn this around because everything has been a financial disappointment over and over again. But unfortunately, Marvel is not learning their lesson. They're not seeing what's going on with these financial disappointments and seeing what fans didn't like, and they're repeating these mistakes over and over again. And unfortunately, they're doing it with Fantastic Four First Steps. So we already know there's going to be some very odd changes coming. It's already been confirmed long ago that Silver Surfer will for some reason be gender swapped in this new film. On top of that, looking at the cast, which honestly you look at them on their face and you think, wow, the four main players here, they seem like they're pretty well cast. However, as you start peeling back the layers and you look at the type of people playing these roles, some of their beliefs, their activism, and most importantly, how they view their role in this film, the red flags start to pop up very quickly. So let's begin with this headline right here that really speaks for itself. Vanessa Kirby confirms Fantastic Four First Steps explores gender politics with Sue Storm. Marvel will never learn, ladies and gentlemen. They'll never learn until they're bankrupt at this point. People don't want to hear this. This is not appealing whatsoever, and it raises instant red flags. Now, personally, I think Vanessa Kirby was a very good choice to play Sue Storm in this film. She can definitely act. However, will this sort of approach to the character affect her performance, and will it rub people the wrong way? Well, chances are it probably will. But let's see the quote that they're referring to here. It's from Entertainment Weekly. So the section is titled, "The Old and the New." So it says, achieving global political peace sounds only slightly harder than synthesizing the decades-long fictional history of Sue Storm as Marvel's first female superhero. She has been a part of the Fantastic Four since its first issue, but back then, she carried the relatively demeaning code name of Invisible Girl. Oh god, they're trying to make it like a dog whistle, aren't they? Anyways, it continues, could only turn herself invisible and mostly functioned as a damsel in distress. In quotes here, if you played an exact 60s Sue today, everyone would think she is a bit of a doormat, Vanessa Kirby says. So figuring out how to capture the essence of what she represented to each generation, where the gender politics were different, and embody that today was one of the greatest joys of this. Again, fine actress. I think they made a good call casting her, but this approach is going to rub a lot of people the wrong way. We do not want to see this stuff. We don't want to be talking about gender politics in an MCU film. I think anyone with a brain knows that is a bad formula right there. But it gets worse. As we keep going through the casting here, we're seeing more radical changes to all of these characters. You can see here, Joseph Quinn addresses how his portrayal of Human Torch will differ from Chris Evans' version. Oh yes, he's going to change something that's been working well for decades. That'll really pay off, I'm sure. Again, from Entertainment Weekly, Johnny is Marvel's archetype of a hothead teenager, but what exactly that means has been open to interpretation over the years. In 2005 and 2007 Fantastic Four movies, for instance, Chris Evans played the character as a skirt-chasing scallywag. What is this, like an insult from the 1920s? Skirt-chasing scallywag? Anyways, Quinn wanted to do something different. He's a man that leads with a lot of bravado, which can be an affront sometimes, but he's also funny, Quinn says. Myself and Marvel Studios' Kevin were speaking about previous iterations of him and where we are culturally. Oh, God. He was branded as this womanizing, devil-may-care guy. But is that sexy these days? I don't think so. This version of Johnny is less callous with other people's feelings, and hopefully there's a self-awareness about it, about what's driving that attention-seeking behavior. Oh god, they just basically took everything people liked about Johnny and then just stripped it all away and basically made him a weak male feminist type. I mean, really, what else are we hearing at this point? So, as the little brother, I guess he's now the weak one in this case, and he's going to be chastised for his toxic masculinity and all of these attention-seeking behaviors that nobody would have had an issue with a few years ago, but all of a sudden now, this is a toxic character that needs to be altered for who else but the modern audience. Yep, where we're at culturally, will he fit in? And they say no, so they have to change this character to adapt to that. That is very sad. Now, going down the line here from that main 4 cast of characters here, we also got Pedro Pascal playing Reed Richards. And in case you guys don't know, Pedro Pascal, big activist. He will not stop talking about stuff. He's got major TDS, and he wants you to know about it. And of course, he's in this movie because he's in every movie. You basically see any sort of casting for a current movie, Pedro Pascal's got a role somewhere. I'm sure if you dug through your home movies at your house, you'd probably find him somewhere in those films because that's just the way it's been. He's in everything these days. But there's a lot of caution people take towards him because, well, stuff like this. Very recently, this headline was made, Pedro Pascal slammed after supporting Rachel Zegler amid Snow White backlash. That's right. Again, just like other examples we've talked about, it seems like any of these projects, these movies, they just want to take all the most unlikable people and just band them all together. Just bring them all together, connect themselves to one another, and make bad PR. Because this is really bad PR, especially when this was only released about a week and a half ago amid the bombing of Snow White at the box office, which, as you can see, after all this time since its release, $170 million worldwide at the box office. Not even close to $100 million domestic, which is absolutely embarrassing. And that's what happens when you crap all over a beloved story. You try to virtue signal at your potential customers, and then you alienate half of your main domestic market by saying over half the population doesn't deserve a moment of peace in their lives. And of course, they're not going to go see your film after that, especially when it's already a very lackluster one to begin with. But here's what Pedro Pascal said that got him even more criticism. So about 2 weeks ago, he made this Instagram post with a picture of Zegler, tagging her and saying, #icon. Yep, that's a very brilliant move to make during the midst of the colossal failure of this film and the terrible PR associated with it, and mainly the negative PR stemming from Rachel Zegler. This is a great way to pivot into the Fantastic Four. You're dragging this into your next film. Brilliant move, and you can see she even replied to one of his other responses to her post saying, I love you forever, papa. Very interesting. But there was also some other lore I came across here that was very interesting. I did not know all of this happened, so as reported here, of course Pedro Pascal stands with Rachel Zegler. This is the guy who compared Trump supporters to Yahtzees and decided to come after content creators when they made videos about it, and Disney did nothing. Meanwhile, Gina Carano was fired. So what they're referring to here is a post that was made by Pedro Pascal associating and comparing Trump supporters to Yahtzees. Yep, that's a very good idea for Pedro Pascal and his infinite activism, but this was called out by Geeks and Gamers. They just reported on this because obviously it's a big deal that someone like Pedro Pascal is saying something as disparaging as this and as divisive as this. And he decided to call them out and basically try to mock the way they pronounce his name as Pedro. Well, that's the way I'm pronouncing it, so whatever, dude. And then on top of that, there's no counter argument to anything. He's just mad and directing his fans towards Geeks and Gamers for having the audacity to report on a relevant topic to their channel. Yes, these are the good guys, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, if we're scaling down the cast here, there's only one left. The Thing, Ben Grimm. What do I have to say about this? Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, it looks pretty good. Yeah, no controversies here so far. So 1 out of 4 ain't too bad. I also like how they went with the retro look on The Thing. It looks great. Nothing else to say there. But overall, yeah, that was not needed for the Fantastic Four first steps. They are struggling mightily at Marvel. They are trying desperately to turn things around. And these approaches we're seeing, these attitudes of these actors and how they're approaching their roles in this film, red flags everywhere. It tells us they are trying to appeal to the modern audience. They care about virtue signaling slop and other ideals that nobody cares about outside of Hollywood and Twitter. This is really, really bad. This doesn't look good. And before you think I want these films to tank, I wish this film would do really well. I hope it does, because I enjoy Marvel. I'm not some, guy moderating subreddits with 100 Funko Pops behind me, like saying, oh, consume Marvel. But I enjoy Marvel films, and I want them to return to form. They don't have to knock it out of the park. They don't have to have Machiavellian levels of writing. They have to just produce something that is solid, something entertaining, something that makes it a fun experience at the movie theater without being lectured at, without having to approach the MCU and basically turn every character into a strong, independent woman. This stuff is exhausting. People are tired of it. And now we have 2 films that basically have to succeed. And one of them is Thunderbolts, which, by the way, am I in the minority, guys? Kind of excited for this one. This is, out of all the recent Marvel films, I think this one has my attention the most. And I like anything with Bucky in it. He's a great character. And yeah, I'm excited for Thunderbolts, but unfortunately their box office projections are worse than Captain America Brave New World, which was a financial disappointment for Disney. So I don't know. Maybe they'll figure it out. Maybe this will surprise people. I hope Thunderbolts does. And then maybe Fantastic Four ends up being something really good. But right now, with what we saw in this video, things aren't looking great for them. But that's going to do it for this video. As always, feel free to share your thoughts about today's topics in the comment section down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.